Yeah, but you're still town manager, so you haven't got much past the beginning.
59 years.
Okay.
Senate will please come to order. Are there any announcements? Being no announcements, I'll recognize the senator from Chittenden Central.
Thank you, Mr. President. We do have some movement from the House in terms of things we've been waiting for. So we will have a session right now. It will be a little shorter than I thought it would be. The House has not acted on either the companion bill or the budget at this point. So we'll go with what we have. We'll have another recess. We'll come back in another session. You remember this stop and start rhythm from the end of the session. We'll have much the same thing today. So with that said, Mr. President, I would move that our rules be suspended in order to bring S6 off the notice calendar and up for action with the intention of having that sent to the Judiciary Committee.
And earlier we did that as one motion. Are you looking to have that as two separate motions or as one combined motion?
Yeah.
Okay, the senator from Chittenden Central has moved that the Senate take up, suspend its rules in order to take up off the notice calendar S6 and recommit the bill to the Committee on Judiciary. Are you ready for that question? Senator from Bennington.
Mr. President, the conference committee on S6 worked very hard to come up with compromise, and I'm not sure how much the opponents of the bill understood what we did in conference, quite frankly, and this is an important issue. But given that Section 4 of the bill, which is the juvenile criminal justice policy that involves juveniles, is not effective until April 1st of 2024. It gives the committee an opportunity to meet with the stakeholders, particularly victims of crime, as well as the Network Against Domestic Violence and Sexual Assault, as well as the child advocacy centers, to try to either allay their fears or come up with a difference in the way we deal with targeted deception. And it really boils down to two issues. One is the use of the under 22 rather than under 18, and the issue of targeted deception. And so your Judiciary Committee is committed to working on this next December and getting a bill out in early January, because simply put, Mr. President, you shouldn't lie to kids. You shouldn't lie to anybody, but you shouldn't lie to kids about during an interrogation. And we need to make sure that we pass a bill that all sides can live with. When we had testimony from the Attorney General's office on the bill that passed the Senate, they were supportive. And that changed on April 30th when the bill was in the other body. And so I'm supporting the motion to recommit to the Committee on Judiciary S6. We will work on it early, and we will do our best to get a bill out that addresses some of the concerns, but I'm not sure that all of the concerns expressed in the letter from the state attorneys and other groups are actually part of what the final version of S6 that came out of the conference committee. But we want to hear from all sides, and we want to be thoughtful. And again, I point out that the section on juveniles wasn't effective till July 1, 2024, so we don't lose anything there, so we can get a bill out early next January, and the House can pass it as well. Thank you, Mr. President.
Question is, shall the Senate suspend its rules in order to take up S6 off the notice calendar and Senator from Chittenden Central.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Judiciary Committee and the Conference Committee worked incredibly hard on this bill to come to a compromise that allows us to build trust between our communities and policing. And it's frustrating to me that at the last minute, the same concerns that we've addressed over and over and over are again being raised. The International Police Training and Association has banned the practice of teaching deceptive police interrogation practices. Most of the European Union has outright banned the practice of deceptive interrogations. And the state of Minnesota is in the process of outright banning deceptive interrogations. This bill was already a compromise towards doing what is right. And I absolutely appreciate all of the hard work our Judiciary Committee did and our Conference Committee did to try and come to a space where we could move ourselves in the right direction. And I am committed to working on this next year when it comes back to the committee, but I frankly don't think we should be there. And so therefore I cannot support recommitting it. And I think we should be overriding the veto. Thank you.
The question is, shall the Senate suspend its rules in order to take S6 off the notice calendar and recommit the bill to the Committee on Judiciary? Are you ready for that question? If so, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed indicate by saying nay.
Nay.
The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it, and you have suspended your rules in order to take S6 off the notice calendar and recommit the bill to the Committee on Judiciary. Senator from Chittenden Central.
Thank you, Mr. President. At this time, I would move that the Senate suspend its rules in order to take up H305, which is pending entry on the notice calendar. This is H305, an act relating to professions and occupations regulated by the Office of Professional Regulation, and this would be a veto override that has cleared the other body.
Now, the senator from Chittenden Central has moved that the Senate suspend its rules, take up H305 pending entry to the notice calendar. Are you ready for the question? If so, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed indicate by saying nay. The ayes have it, and you have suspended your rules in order to take up H305 pending entry onto the notice calendar. With that, bear with me, please. On June 1st, 2023, the Honorable Philip B. Scott, Governor, vetoed H305, an act relating to professions and occupations regulated by the Office of Professional Regulation, and returned it to the House and submitted a message explaining his objections to the bill. A copy of the veto message is contained in today's House Journal, page 2326. The authority of the governor to veto a bill passed by both houses of the General Assembly is found in Section 11 of Chapter 2 of the Constitution of the State of Vermont. By reason of the wording of Section 11 of Chapter 2 of the Constitution of the State of Vermont, the Senate is obligated to reconsider H305 if the House, as they have, votes to override the governor's veto. The House has already considered the bill and voted to pass the bill, notwithstanding the governor's refusal to approve the bill. The question that you will be voting on is as follows. Shall the bill pass, notwithstanding the governor's refusal to approve the bill? A yes vote means you want to override the governor's veto and pass the bill. A no vote means you want to sustain the governor's veto. As required by the Constitution, the vote will be by roll call. 2/3 of the members who are present must pass the bill over the objections of the governor. Otherwise, the veto of the governor will be sustained. The question before the Senate is debatable. Upon conclusion of the debate, the Secretary shall call the roll. The question is, shall the bill pass, notwithstanding the governor's refusal to approve the bill? Are you ready for the question? Senator from Addison.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is a bill, a miscellaneous Office of Professional Regulations bill, and it includes a number of provisions that are very important for the operation of professional regulations, including making changes to the professional development requirements for osteopaths and physicians. It also expands access to really crucial dental care for low-income Vermonters. This was something that was asked for by the Department of Health. It expands it simplifies the renewal process for licensure renewals, and it includes much-needed fees fee increases for the Office of Professional Regulation that is solely funded by the fees. These fees are specific to the professions, and they are not broad-based fees that every Vermonter would pay, but they are fees that are required for the regulation of professions. This is a very important bill for our workforce and for our Office of Professional Regulation in the Secretary of State's office, and I urge everyone to vote to override this veto. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator from Franklin.
Mr. President, this is a point of information. The veto message that's referred to for H305, I believe supposedly appears on page 4020, if I'm reading this correctly, but it does not appear to be the same correct veto message, unless I'm misreading this.
Thank you for the point of inquiry, Senator. What occurred is a little bit awkward in that the House calendar had the wrong message printed in it, but the House Journal had the accurate message from the governor printed, which is why I referenced the House Journal. And I only know that due to the good work of our secretary that you all put in place. But that's my understanding of why I did read it as the House Journal on page 2326. But you are a good eye, Senator. The question is, shall the bill pass notwithstanding the governor's refusal to approve the bill? Are you ready for the question? If so, the secretary shall commence to call the roll.
Senator Baruch.
Yes.
Senator Bray.
Yes.
Senator Brock.
No.
Senator Campion.
Yes.
Senator Chittier.
Yes.
Senator Clarkson.
Yes.
Senator Collmore.
No.
Senator Cummings.
Yes.
Senator Bueller.
Yes.
Senator Hardy.
Yes.
Senator Harrison.
Yes.
Senator Hashim.
Yes.
Senator Engel.
No.
Senator Kitchell.
Yes.
Senator Lyons.
Yes.
Senator McDonald.
Yes.
Senator Mazza.
Yes.
Senator McCormick.
Yes.
Senator Norris.
No.
Senator Pershman.
Yes.
Senator Ron Hinsdale.
Yes.
Senator Sears.
Yes.
Senator Starr.
Yes.
Senator Bielski.
Yes.
Senator Watson.
Yes.
Senator Weeks.
No.
Senator Westman.
No.
Senator White.
Yes.
Senator Williams.
No.
Senator Renner.
Yes.
Please listen to the results of your vote. Those voting yea, 23. Those voting nay, 7. 2/3 of the members present having voted in favor of passage of the bill, the governor's veto has been overridden. Senator from Chittenden Central.
Thank you, Mr. President. That, believe it or not, concludes the business that we can do at the moment. I am hesitant to have us come back too soon without things moving over from the House. So I would recommend that we come back in 2 hours at 3:30. So I will move that the Senate stand in adjournment until 3:30. And again, the intention will be to go as long today as we can be productive today, with the idea of shortening our stay by a day if we can. So we may stop and start a number of times today. So with that, Mr. President, I'll move that we adjourn until 3:30.
I'm going to state the question as I heard it. My hearing may be wrong, but I believe the senator from Chittenden Central has moved that the Senate stand in recess until 3:30.
Yes.
It was not pending announcements as far as I heard either.
I have no objection to announcements.
Pending announcements. Are there any announcements? That was kind of the assumption. There are no announcements. All right, so the question is, shall the Senate stand in recess until 3:30? Are you ready for the question? If so, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed indicate by saying nay. The ayes have it, and the Senate will stand in recess until 3:30.